G'day two-wheeled enthusiasts, welcome back to First Class Motorcycles. My name is Daniel and today we're going to be discussing two of some of the best bikes we sell down here at First Class. So let's jump straight into it. Today I've got two ripper bikes. I've got the KTM EXC 300 and the KTM XC 300. I thought today I'd do a little bit of a video to discuss the differences between these bikes and what kind of riders these bikes would suit as we go forward. So let's start with the XC. Now the XC300 is an absolute animal when it comes to the new two-stroke range. Definitely more aggressive than the XC300. This thing is built to be ridden fast and aggressively. It's got a completely different power delivery system, which just means it loves to be ridden hard. It's got a shorter pipe, which gives it that more mid and high power, unlike the EXC, which is a longer pipe for that low-end torque. This bike also has a lot stiffer suspension than the EXC, which means it absolutely loves those big washouts. And if you're someone who loves enduro but also likes to hit the motocross track here and there, this bike would be a great bike for the in-between, which means you don't have to buy two bikes, you can just buy the one and be able to do both and enjoy it. Now this thing is definitely still built for enduro, as it's got an 18-inch wheel, but it's definitely more built for that high pace sort of stuff. It's got no thermo fan, no headlight. It's only got an hour meter, not a full dash, which makes it a little bit less, you can't road register it, but it just makes it a little bit less hard enduro focused. It's classified as a cross-country bike, but still a bike I can take up to Talangi or Narbathon or Chum Creek and still have a ripper of a time. It does, I find, struggle in really tight singles and those really gnarly hill climbs, but at the same pace as I'm smashing through fire trails, hitting those jumps and hitting those really long sort of painful hills that some bikes struggle on, this thing just absolutely eats up those long sort of grueling climbs. And it's made to be ridden fast, which is really fun. And when I'm hopping on a bike, I do love to hit the technical stuff, but as well I love to hit that fast pace and really get on it. And this bike I just absolutely love riding out bush. Now this bike you cannot get road regged, it's rec reg only, or no reg if depending what you're using it for, but for me that wasn't a massive turn off because this bike definitely is more built for the high speed off-road capabilities. It's got a different fuel system than the XC300. It's premix only, so you're going to do it the old fashioned way, which a lot of die-hard two-stroke guys love, what I love as well. It's great. I do like the new oil system, I find that really convenient and really nice, but nothing like mixing your own oil, but sometimes it does get a bit tedious. Now the power band on this bike is more aggressive, unlike the EXC. This thing, you can definitely feel it when it clicks in, especially when you're in map 2 in your aggressive mode. You can really feel that hitting, and it can be a bit, if you're not confident on two strokes and you haven't ridden a lot, it can be a little bit daunting jumping on a bike with such an aggressive power band, but again it is still a new two-stroke, which means it's a little bit more tame than some of the older stuff, but just something to consider when you're looking into this bike. Now a good thing about this bike is it does come standard with a map switch, where the EXC you do need to put one on. Definitely something that's a massive bonus on this bike because the map switch is awesome. It's got a mellow and aggressive mode, which means if you end up hitting that tight stuff or those more technical things, you can whack this bike in mellow mode, and it's just that little bit easier to ride to help you up those tight things and on that slippery icy clay. But when you do want to open her up, click the aggressive mode and the thing just becomes an animal and is an absolute ripper of a bike to ride. This bike, I'd probably say, if you're someone who's confident on two strokes, been riding for a number of years and know what they're doing, how to handle the bike, have a number of hours under their belt, this bike is for you. If you really do enjoy that aggressive sort of form of fast riding, this bike will definitely suit you. If you do hit the motocross track here and there, again, ripper. But if you are into that more slow technical stuff, you might struggle a little bit on this bike where you wouldn't as much on the EXC. It just depends what type of riding you're doing. But all in all, this is a ripper of a bike, great fun in those open stuff, really good bike. Great fun in the sand as well. I found it's definitely great for the sand, really eats up the sand. The stiff suspension means you can just really hook along, and this bike just loves it. But all the XC is a great bike, more of that cross-country fast stuff than your enduro stuff, but to be honest, I had great fun on this bike and I would definitely jump on it again if I got the chance. Now the EX300 is a ripper of a bike as well. It's definitely designed more for your hard enduro settings. It's a lot smoother and predictable power delivery, and the softer suspension that comes in this bike from standard just means it's a lot more predictable and controllable in those tight technical terrains. These 300s, they just absolutely love the tight single trails, those rocky hill climbs, those super steep technical sort of climbs. Yeah, just a great hard enduro bike. They feel a little bit more unstable at crazy high speeds, unlike the XC, where this one is definitely designed for them slower, more technical riders. And that's also shown with the exhaust pipe. You've got a longer pipe for more low end torque, which is definitely needed for those enduro situations, where the XC has a more shorter pipe for that mid to top power. The hard enduro 300 is just built for the bush, built for that hard stuff, as it's got a thermo fan as well, which keeps the bike cool. It's got your headlight, and these bikes can also be fully road registerable down here in Victoria, Australia. They come with indicators, tail extension, all that sort of stuff. So if you are worried about when you're out riding getting pinged, especially down here in Victoria, we do know how it is. But if you are worried about that, you can whack full reg on these bikes, which just means wherever you ride, you know you're 100% covered. This runs the 18 rear wheel, so the XC, which is just for the enduro purposes. There's plenty of tyres you can whack on these bikes that are perfect for any sort of rider. But this 300, the XC, is just, I found, one of the best bikes for enduro riding. Now it's definitely not a beginner bike though. It is still something you'd have to work your way up to if you're just getting into bikes. It's still a two-stroke, still a very powerful, fast bike. So if you're a beginner, I'd probably stray away from this for at least your first bike. But if you're coming into your second bike, or you want to get into a hard enduro and you've been riding other sort of riding before, the 300 is definitely an option to consider. The new two-strokes are a lot less aggressive than some of the older two-strokes. As we know, some of the older two-strokes, the power band can be either on and off, and they're quite a handful to ride, some of them. But I found this 300 is really controllable and just predictable as well. It still has a power band, which means if you're a two-stroke lover, it's something you're not missing out on. There's definitely a power band and you can feel it, especially if you got this thing in, if you put the map switch on it, you can put it in map 2, which gives it a bit more of an aggressive power band. But as I said, it's just a lot more predictable as the power band comes on. Now, though it is a two-stroke, the oil delivery system is a little bit different. These ones, they are injected through a separate tank. So you just put your standard fuel in the tank and your two-stroke oil in the oil tank, which means you just don't really have to think about it, which I really liked. Just means I could fill the bike up, make sure there's oil in the tank, and off I ride. I didn't have to worry about pre-mixing, shaking the jerry can, all that sort of stuff. It was really nice, and it just makes it super simple when you're getting on these bikes. Now, if you do love that old school pre-mix, the XC does have that option, as it doesn't have a tank, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the XC. But the 300 is what I found is just an easy bike for enduro. And one thing I really found good with this bike is that on that really slippery Victorian clay, the 300 XC did a lot better just because it has a little bit more control. It's not as aggressive, so you are able to control it as best you can. If you can control it on the clay, we all know that clay is nearly uncontrollable with the bike, but this thing did pretty good for a two-stroke, and as I said, everything else, technical, steep hill climbs, this EXC just eats it up. It's a very confidence-inspiring bike as well. You feel really planted on it with that softer suspension. It's great in those real tight stuff where you don't have to be hitting things really hard for the suspension to actually work. The suspension works really good in those soft, slow conditions. So all in all, this is a ripper of a bike. If you're looking at doing hard enduro or just enduro in general, this bike would probably be the bike I'd be facing you towards. It's pretty much an all-rounder for enduro and out bush. It's such a great thing, and it's one of my favourite bikes to ride and to see down at First Class Motorcycles. So they're the two main differences between the bikes. It's not really about which bike is better, it's more about which bike is perfect for you. So if you have any questions about which bike you would like, jump on down to First Class Motorcycles. We'll be sure to get you on the bike that you think you might need. You can come down, you can sit in them, we can have a real chat about them, see what kind of riding you do and which bike would suit you best. Or just give us a call, of course. Phone number is always open, so give us a call, have a chat to one of our sales guys. We'll be able to get you on the bike that you love. So wrapping up, both bikes are ripper. One bike aggressive, speed, really hitting those gnarly jumps. Other bike is a bit more controlled, stable and good for those tight sort of enduro situations. So there we have it, guys, the KTM EXC 300 and the KTM XC 300. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good afternoon.